What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Pedal and Pivot podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, and I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today is the first episode for our little summer related episodes. I try to do themes sometimes because it just helps me to come up with more ideas and to properly structure the episodes. So for June, we're doing summer, and today I'm talking all about adulting at home. I think this is an experience that a lot of us have, especially now that the cost of living crisis is going up. We just simply can't afford to live on our own anymore. And for me, I'm in graduate school, so I am still living at home during the summertime. And so that's definitely a transition, and I don't think as many people talk about it as they should. So I wanted to bring you the science plus some tips and my experiences today. You know how I like to do it. But before we get into that, I like to chit chat a little bit and do some intro segments. What have I been up to recently? I am working this summer at a primary care clinic. I'm really enjoying that. I started my phlebotomy training yesterday. So I did the theory part of my phlebotomy training a couple months ago, and I am now doing my live stick so that I'll be able to practice by myself. So far, so good. I have 3 down, 97 left to go. So that's really exciting. I just love healthcare, and the more patient interactions that I get, the better. So I'm definitely excited to be adding that to my experience this summer. I've been spending a lot of time working on the podcast. New things are coming soon. I will announce them as soon as I can, but I just want to make sure everything's solidified before I announce it. What else have I been up to? I've been working on Next Gen Med Bermuda, which is my organization with my best friend for medical students in Bermuda. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm still reading Reckless in the Powerless series. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm just interested to see where things go. Last week was a bit chaotic for me because it was still kind of my first week back at home. I started working, so I'm flipping my sleep schedule entirely. And while I was with my parents in Florida and New York, things were just kind of chaotic. So now I feel like things are a little bit better under control. I started working out again yesterday. I'm trying to keep that up. I am trying to improve my sleep schedule, and so I think this weekend I would really be able to relax, so I'll be able to read more, and that'll just be really exciting because I'm just craving a day where I sit in the sun and read for a long time, because that just sounds like the perfect summer activity. I think that's everything. I've been watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I'm on season 2 episode 4, and the drama is dramaing, and we love to see it. We hate to see it because these are people's real lives, but I do enjoy a good reality TV show. I think that's all that I have for my updates, so let's get right into these intro segments. Once again, this is season 1, episode 18, called Adulting at Home, Making the Most of Your Summer Break. The quote for today is, "The most reliable way to predict the future is to create it." I chose this quote because living at home with your parents can sometimes feel like a step backwards in life. It can feel like you're very limited. And I just wanted to remind us all that life really is what you make it. We do find ourselves in difficult situations sometimes, but you can really make the most of a bad situation because the only way through something is to go through it. So if we make the most of the situation, that can really help us to just feel better overall. My pedal moment is that I finally started my live phlebotomy sticks. I'm really excited. It just feels like a step in the right direction, and it's more patient care experience and hands-on activities. My pivot moment is that I am really struggling with time management right now. I always have a little bit more of a difficult time when I have to be at work at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, because it just doesn't fit well with my sleep schedule, and then I end up taking naps at night, so then things just get pushed back. So that's really been a struggle for me. My sleep is difficult anyway, but in this situation it's even more challenging, especially when I have other things that I want to balance. But it'll all work out. I know it will. And even if it quite doesn't, this is only for a short period of time, because I start school in 6 weeks, which is crazy, because why am I starting school so early? But I digress. I am just really, really struggling with that, and I'm doing my best, so that's all I can really ask for. Getting into the prompts from last episode, which was about depression. Number 1, what are 3 positive affirmations that make you feel good about yourself? I really love the affirmation, what is meant for me will not pass me by. I got that from Libby Christensen. I don't know who originally said it, but that is one that I write down every single day when I journal. 2 would be, it will all work out. That's just something that really encourages me to keep pushing through. My song of the year, I guess I would say, is Let It All Work Out by Lil Wayne, because sometimes things may seem like they're not going the way that you want them to, but in the end, everything works out exactly how you're supposed to. And if you're not dead, it's not over, which can sound a little depressing, but it can also be encouraging because there's always more to the story. The 3rd affirmation would be, I am enough. It just reminds me that I am enough exactly as I am. I don't need to do more, do less. I'm not too much, I'm not too little. I am exactly how I need to be. This doesn't mean that I can't improve in certain areas, but it just removes some of that pressure sometimes. Prompt number 2, what are activities or people who bring you joy and why? I love spending time with my friends. It just takes me out of my head, and I choose my friends very wisely, and a lot of my friends I actually have long distance friendships with, so when I do get to spend time with them, it's really, really valuable. I enjoy working out because biologically it makes you feel better, but I can also see my progress week after week, and I can feel strong and capable, and I keep promises to myself. I enjoy watching reality TV because it just allows me to take a break from my regular day-to-day life. Reading does the same thing for me. I enjoy going on walks in nature because that really helps to reset my nervous system and remind me to focus on the things that actually matter. The last prompt was, what is one thing you are looking forward to this week? I am looking forward to having a low-key weekend, just doing some things around the house, nurturing my hobbies, getting good sleep. That might sound boring to some people, but I really am looking forward to that. And with that, that's all I have for my little chit chat and my introduction segment. So let's get into the main part of the episode, which is about adulting at home during the summertime. First, I'm going to start out with some statistics and research. You know how we like to do it over here. I don't just talk off the dome. I like to bring the science into it so that you know that there's evidence to support the claims that I'm making. There is a term called boomerang kids, which refers to adult children who return to the household. I thought that was definitely interesting, especially because they use the term kids when everybody we're talking about in this situation is over the age of 18. And it does make sense because it kind of, when you think of a boomerang, it goes out and it comes back. A study by Liu in 2024 at Bowling Green State University found that between 2007 and 2023, more than half of 18 to 24-year-olds have lived with their parents. In 2020, this number was 59.2%, which was the highest it has been in this period. And in 2023, the number fell to 57.1%, which is not that much lower. In 2023, more than 1 in 5 adults, so 21.7%, aged 25 to 29, lived with their parents. This increased from 16.5% in 2007. In 2007, approximately 8.4% of adults ages 30 to 34 lived with their parents. This increased to 12.8% in 2020. This trend of living with your parents is also more common among full-time college students. So as you can see from these statistics, it tends to decrease with age, which makes sense because typically as you get older, you get more promotions, more experience, you might have partners, more connections, stuff like that. So it makes sense that you're moving out of your parents' house. You also might feel more mature and more ready to do that. And then also in 2020, we all know that COVID happened, and I think that that had a large impact on the amount of adult children that live with their parents. It also makes sense that it's more common for full-time college students to live with their parents because obviously they have other expenses, and staying at home helps them to afford other elements of their lifestyle much more easily. A study by Preetz et al. In 2022, which was specifically focused on COVID, but I feel like these takeaways are still important. Returning home as an adult child can often feel like a regression of adult development because when you think of human development, you're born and you're super dependent on your parents, and then you gradually get more independence as you get older. And leaving the household is a big step in your maturity. So when you have to return to the household, there's a lot of developmental challenges that can arise. University students who returned to their parental homes reported significantly lower life satisfaction. The association between life satisfaction and returning home varied by age, with older individuals feeling more dissatisfaction. That again makes sense because of the developmental quote unquote expectations. It would make sense that you feel less life satisfaction the older you are when you return to home. Pre-pandemic studies showed increased rates of depression when returning to family homes, which makes sense because that would go hand in hand with lower life satisfaction. And deteriorated mental health was associated with less perceived parental acceptance and less autonomy, which makes sense because if you have a really good relationship with your parents and they see you more as equals instead of inferior, you probably wouldn't have as much difficulty living with them as an adult as some other people will. There's also increased conflict in families when there is an adult child living with their parents. Some of the challenges and awkward moments that people can experience living with their parents as adults is a loss of independence, a lack of privacy, parents being overly concerned with your day-to-day activities. For example, in my situation, I live on my own away from my parents in another country. I live in Florida and I'm from Bermuda, and they don't check on me every day. They're not calling me every day. They're not worried about all the little things that I'm doing. But when I'm back at their house during school breaks, they want to know where I'm going, when I'm going to be home, who I'm going with, how I'm getting there, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, but when I'm away, I could go to a whole other country and you would have no idea and it wouldn't matter. Lack of privacy is also a big issue. For example, I was in my room getting ready to take a shower yesterday and my mom just walked in my room like, ma'am, let's not. And I feel like that some people have experiences similar to those. People also tend to revert to childlike roles. For example, when I am living on my own, I'm meal prepping. I have a schedule for every day. I grocery shop, all of that. And when I return to my parents' house, all of that kind of goes out the window, because I think it's a developmental thing and it's also a practical thing, because sometimes my parents would expect me to meal prep for them and everyone else, and I just don't have the capacity to do that. Reverting to childlike roles also includes neglecting your typical routines, activities, or responsibilities. Like I mentioned, I do a lot more on my own when I am in Florida because I have to. There's no other choice. But when I'm at my parents' house, I typically do a lot less. I'm a lot less motivated to do things that I normally do. Now, all of this might have sounded like a little bit of a downer, but I promise you I have some strategies for survival that will help you to not just survive, but thrive this summer if you are living with your parents or if you're living with your parents just for whatever period of time. The first one is balance. I would recommend scheduling social time, so planning time outside of the house at intervals that work best for you. This could be every couple days, this could be every day, this could be once a week, whatever works for you. It's important to maintain your identity outside of your family situation. I would also suggest maintaining your regular routines where possible. So for example, if you have a morning routine that you really love, try to keep that up, even if you have to modify it. Same with your night routine. If you normally work out, don't neglect that when you come home to be with your parents. The second strategy would be to practice self-care. Spend time doing your hobbies, for example, reading, watching TV, coloring, playing phone games. The New York Times app has been my favorite. I've been doing that every single day. And just doing little things like that really fill your cup, and it also makes you more capable to deal with some of the situations that might arise from being around your parents so often. I would also recommend spending time alone. For me, I'm an introvert, so spending time alone really helps me to protect my peace and monitor my mental health. I take a lot of pride in my bedroom because that's my space. It's no one else's space. No one really comes in here. I really created it to best suit me, and so that's an important space that I really treasure. I would also recommend taking care of your mental health, whatever coping skills work for you. I go to therapy every 2 weeks, no questions asked. I try to do yoga, meditation, journaling, walks in nature, things like that, whatever coping skills work for you. I just finished talking about different mental health disorders and coping skills for the past 3 episodes. So if that's something that's interested to you, please be sure to check those out. I talked about ADHD, anxiety, and depression, and different coping skills to manage each of those disorders. The third strategy would be to practice healthy communication. So set boundaries and expectations with your parents. While they quote unquote should be more understanding of the fact that you're an adult, you also can't necessarily expect them to know these things. So you are needed to communicate your expectations to them. Once you say expectations and set boundaries, if they still don't follow that, that's a different situation. But just remember, I've heard this so many times, it's your parents' first time doing life too, so they might not be aware of how some of the things that are coming across. My fourth tip would be to contribute to the household where you can. Help out with chores or other responsibilities, because this can help to remind your parents that you are an adult. So for example, if you are cooking dinner for yourself, maybe you cook dinner for everyone else. If you are washing dishes, maybe you wash everyone else's dishes. Or if you're going to the store, you ask if anyone else needs anything, just to remind them that you're not a guest and you're not a child, and that you are an adult and you deserve to be treated with the respect that goes with that. I don't want you to be super negative about this time. There are some elements of looking on the bright side that are associated with living with your parents. You have more quality time with them, because this may or may not be the last time that you live with them permanently. So you can treasure some of those moments that you won't be able to have once you move out. It is saving money. We are in some tough times right now, and living with your parents is an excellent way to save money. And maybe you can put that money into savings, invest it, whatever you need to do. Invest in it could also be buying something else that you need, that you're prioritizing at this time. And lastly, not in my situation, but in some situations, living with your parents means home cooked meals. And especially if you're a younger college student who is just eating on campus food all the time, there's nothing like a home cooked meal. So that's one of the bright sides as well. This last thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of related, but not really. I would recommend you reading For Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Dr. Lindsay Gibson. I am like 90% done this book. It is a really eye-opening experience of some and validation of some of the experiences that you might have had with your parents, because a lot of people who would have difficulties living with their parents as an adult, your parents may or may not be emotionally manipulative, and some of the experiences that you had as a child you might just think is normal. And reading this book really helped to validate me that I'm not alone and I'm not crazy, and that the things that I'm experiencing might not be normal. So it was really eye-opening in that way. And I liked that it had exercises and stuff in it, because it doesn't feel too philosophical. I really enjoyed reading this book. I definitely highlighted it, annotated it, all of those things. So that was definitely a good read. It also provided some coping skills and ways to manage some of my expectations and experiences with my parents, because she is a therapist, so she knows how to do these types of counseling sessions. And while family therapy might be needed or more effective, this is definitely an excellent start, and to do what you can in the situation that you have. That is all that I have for the main part of today's episode, but I definitely have journal prompts for you. You know I would never leave you without them. 1, what routines or practices are most important to you? 2, how can you make your home environment, for example your bedroom, feel more welcoming? 3, list 3 experiences you're looking forward to this summer. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Paddle and Pivot podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below. Our weekly comment is, what's your favorite part of summer? I'm just looking forward to more time outside, spending more time doing things that I love before I get super busy with medical school. So I'm definitely looking forward to this time. If you enjoyed this episode, please let me know, and be sure to share it with a friend that you think would relate to this episode. Thank you once again so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.